It is,
Sir,
yeah, go for it,
so
Matt.
sorry, just a quick one on the word count. I just wanted some clarity. So if you look at the assignment instructions, there's the
Yeah,
first section where they go A, B, and C, and then they indicate that section A should be 150 to 200, B 12 to 15,
yeah,
etc. But then under additional instructions, they say your submission should be approximately 15 to 2000, which is then less than if you had to add up those individual
yeah, yeah.
sections. So I'm just not sure, are we going with which one are we then going?
We're going with the maximum. So the guidelines will
2000.
give you how much per section, but you want to stay within the overall.
Okay, happy. Thank
Okay.
you so much.
So what they've done is they've procedurized it nicely for us. So you know where to emphasize. And in that, it gives you the chance to balance your editing at the end. So as long as you are within 10% of the final mark, but you'll see it also shows you in your balance in the discussion that so you'll see that where your focus in the discussion should be. But it is a good point. But if you add all of those together, you will have more than the final mark. Okay. But it is a valid question. Okay, guys, so to just say this is a condensed version of research. It doesn't mean that it is going to be less than. I think listening to what we did on Wednesday night, I think you guys take your marks incredibly seriously. I also know some of you are intending to get A for this project, and for me, if you intend to get A, I have to do everything in my power to make sure you bloody will get A. I also think for people who aim for just a pass, my job is to make sure that I assist you with just your pass, and I celebrate just your pass as I would celebrate an A, because I think people have different focuses in their life, and the reality is we also want to achieve different things, and we have different challenges that go along the way. So task one, here are the key details. I want to spend a little bit of time just on this. So the first thing that we need to talk about is the relationship between the paradigm and the methodology. So the overarching term is always going to be the paradigm. The two paradigms that we follow in this approach to research will be interpretivism and will be positivism. Interpretivism sits over here. So interpretivism will always result in qualitative research. So interpretivism will be qualitative research. So interpretivism will be the umbrella term for qualitative research. Positivism will take us to quantitative research. So the umbrella term, the paradigm, the mindset will be those two. The paradigm is essentially the thing that ultimately guides the way we look at the world. Over time, we've had several paradigm shifts. Positivists obviously believe that everything has to be objective and everything has to be reduced to numbers and stats, and that the idea is that everything is science, where interpretivists believe that reality happens within context. The reason I introduce with this slide is that one of the things that we have to be extra careful in terms of all of this is the notion of the golden thread. And the golden thread, you guys will remember, those of you that did research in third year, is that the golden thread means that everything talks to everything else, that everything is logically tied together. So when you do quantitative research ties in with positivism. And when we link positivism to quantitative research, you will use words like hypotheses. You will use words like respondents in your research. You will use words like validity, reliability, generalizability. Your writing style will be very formal. You will be very objective in your approach to your research. If you adopt an interpretivist approach, you will use a different approach to your writing and everything. So initially, you will still write in the third person. In both forms, I don't want to see things like the researcher, the researcher. I want formal writing, but I don't want to see the researcher. Okay. Please also do me a favor. There's more to life than according to. Find alternatives to according to. If you are doing interpretivism, it is qualitative research. Qualitative research, we have participants. We don't have respondents. We have research questions and research objectives. We don't have hypotheses. We also don't talk about validity, reliability, and generalizability. We talk about trustworthiness. So that golden thread has to be maintained. The other part of the golden thread that we have to remember is that when we say everything talks to everything else, is the fact that you must make sure that when you have your topic, that your topic talks to your title, that your title talks to your problem statement, that your problem statement talks to your research questions talk to your research objectives, that your research objectives talk to your interview questions, that your interview questions talk to your findings, and so forth. And also remember, guys, in terms of quantitative research, we're not going to have interview questions. We're going to have surveys that we are going to put on Google Forms somewhere. And those are the magic things that make really, really okay research absolutely fantastic. And that to me is the essence of that golden thread. Who has heard the term golden thread before? Anyone want to add their interpretation around the golden thread? So the reason I share this is to show you the routes that you are to follow. If you are going to do quantitative, so your paradigm will be positivist, you will put a line through this stuff on here on the left-hand side. If you are going to do qualitative research and you are doing interpretivism, you will put a line through here. So your focus then is on one or the other. This is a nice slide. This is a really, really nice slide. It gives us a nice set of guidelines in terms of the subtle differences between the two. Any questions, any comments? Have a glance at that slide very quickly. Sorry, I'm drinking coffee. Guys, I hate it when you're quiet because it makes me nervous, because it makes me think that I know what I'm doing and I'm answering all your questions, and I really am not that intelligent. Questions, anyone? Okay, Mads, I like that. Okay, so let's go through the set of slides that I've put together. There's the extract from the rubric. So for me, how's it, Ransom? Didn't I bully you enough on Wednesday night? You actually came back. Hey, boy, how are you?
I'm fine, how are you?
I'm a better lecturer. I'm a nicer lecturer than I'm an HOP. You have to admit that. I'm a useless HOP. Yeah. I'll look at the slides in a second, guys. I think the one thing that we want to do is we want to get as close to perfect in our first submission as possible, considering the time constraints that we have. So we obviously have to also remembe that we are a bit tight on the time. For me, and I did upload some examples of previous bits of research onto your group so you can glance at this. For me, an introduction and a context does certain things. An introduction, first of all, grabs the attention, and I want people to just take notes, but you can listen to the recording as well. An introduction grabs the attention of the reader. Now, I'm going to share a story with you, and this will obviously be an example of a qualitative introduction. It won't work very well if I were to do a positivist bit of research, but it will work really well if the paradigm that I'm working within is interpretivism. When we were told that we are going into lockdown during COVID, I sat down, opened my Facebook, and I uploaded REM. Now, I'm concerned that all of you are so young that you guys never heard of Michael Stipes and the band REM. Who has heard of REM? Mind you, it's only a white people band anyway. I'm being recorded. Oh, Madeline. Oh, gosh. Madeline's 12 years old. So we won't. So you guys don't know who REM is. Oh, my heavens. Ransom, do you know who REM is? No, Ransom is
No.
hip-hop. Stab your girlfriend, shoot your friend. I don't know. I'm being recorded, guys. You know that I'm going to be fired after today. Oh, dear Lord, I'm in trouble. Okay. I can't believe there's the song. I'll wait till you get to the right bit. Okay. So no one's heard that song before? No one's heard that song before because I feel sad for humanity right now.
We
Not
didn't
a
even hear
single.
the song.
No,
Was
sorry for him. Have you heard it before, Ransom?
No, we couldn't hear the
Oh
song.
my word, you guys have lived under a rock. Madeline, you've not heard it. I'm blaming your parents for that. Anyway, REM is one of the greatest rock bands ever, indie rock bands ever. Oh my gosh. Sorry, guys, I cannot continue with this lecture. I want new students. But anyway, now that you guys have destroyed my story, I'm going to fail all of you immediately. But when COVID was announced, I went onto Facebook and I loaded that specific video. Because that's what I had a moment, the lockdown, and I felt it's the end of the world as you know it. Because it was that kind of moment for me. It was austere. It was a moment of something different. It was a moment of we are entering a strange phase in the planet's lifespan. It was a moment of this is something different. This is the end of the world as we know it. Now, if I were to do research, on COVID, for example, one of the options that I would consider as an introduction is I would put the terms, it's the end of the world as we know it, in the middle at the top, centered. And I would put REM as the band, REM, EM. So that would be right at the top of my first page, above my introduction. I would write introduction there. I'm trying to just create a little bit of a visual idea of where it is. I would put it's the end of the world as we know it, REM. And some people will know what REM is, you annoying students. And then that will be the thing that will grab the attention of the reader. Because if you say to somebody, it's the end of the world as we know it, if that doesn't grab your attention, nothing will grab your attention. Let's be honest, because it is a over-the-top statement. It is an attention-grabbing statement. Not many people say it's the end of the world as we know it. And then I would say, perhaps, you know, I would have my first line of my introduction. I would say, perhaps it is an outrageous statement to make that it's the end of the world as we know it. But those were my feelings when it was announced that we are going into lockdown. Lockdown meant so many different things for different people. Therefore, and then I'll transition into my research report. Now, to me, that is what I want to see in your introductions. I want to see something that grabs my attention. And then once you've grabbed my attention, I want to see a transition sentence into your introduction and your context. Please tell me that what I've said makes sense. So for me, an introduction, the first thing that it does, it grabs attention. It grabs attention, okay? Once you've grabbed my attention, now that can be the line from one of my favorite songs and favorite bands ever, people who are going to fail this course, that will grab the attention. And then you transition into your introduction where you say, yes, I know it's an outrageous statement. Now that line that you've put, that you've centered there can be a line from a movie, can be an excerpt from a newspaper article, can be a line from a song, as I've just used, can be a quote from a fame. Yes, of course, Ransom. Yes, absolutely, Boyo. 100% you can use a quote from a famous person. It could be literally, even if you make an outrageous statement, you know, it could be something completely different, out there, like women don't belong in the boardroom. If you say that, you will grab attention. But as long as you transition into something saying, yes, I know that is a complete ridiculous statement, but that is the view of some male members within the executive, because you have to clarify that, you have to transition. Now, I know it sounds completely sexist to say women don't belong in the boardroom, but let's be honest, those are the views amongst male patriarchal organizations. But you have to transition from there, because you want to grab the attention. So you can even make your own outrageous statement there. I'm not going to harp on it. You guys know what you have to do. You know what you have to do. We are not going to, guys, I'm not the most diplomatic person in the world. We're not going to half-hearted this, but I was going to say something else, but I'm being recorded. You know what word I was going to use there, but it's half something else. It's another name for a donkey. Okay, you're not going to half-ass this, guys. Okay, yeah. Ransom, what question is that now, Boyo? No, I don't know, Boyo. You know how to reference. What are you asking me? But go for it.
Okay. It's unlimited.
Go, Boyo. Ask.
So it's unlimited sources then. I mean,
Yeah, boy, of course. My personality is outrageous. The more outrageous. But some people, you must let your personality guide this. I mean, I think Madeline is quite conservative. I know Madeline is quite religious. She won't write the stuff that I would write on there. I mean, it has to be guided by your value system, your personality, your ethics, boy. So I don't mind which sources you can refer to. If that and remember, we know what the rules in referencing are, boy. Okay, you're a PM, you know what those are. You can refer to as many as you want, but okay.
Okay.
Right. Sorry to bully you again. So that's the first one. Grab the attention. Transition into your actual paragraph. The second one, guys. And then what you do is you start giving us an idea of the background and the context of this particular research. You lead us into why this is an important topic, what you take us by our hand and you start giving us why this is worth studying. So you take us to a context of what we're ultimately expecting to find in this report. So you're leading us to ultimately what this research report will be about. The third part will be what you're going to do in this document. Firstly, I will be doing a literature review. In the literature review, we will be looking at a theoretical framework and then a review of the literature. Thereafter, we will be looking at the brief discussion on the paradigm that I will be adopting in this research. Okay, so it gives us a roadmap. So the three components, maybe four components: grab my attention, transition into your topic, give us a context, background to the topic, why this needs research, and then give me a roadmap of what we're going to do. First of all, I'm doing this, then, and then. Everyone okay with the introduction? Guys, can I just say, research shows articles that get published basically have their introductions rewritten 10 times. So the closer we get to perfect, the better. What I don't want is a vanilla introduction. I don't want a vanilla introduction. Rather give me a peppermint crisp ice cream introduction. Okay, I don't want vanilla, especially diet vanilla ice cream introduction. But your personality must guide that. Is everyone okay with that? I need to see thumbs up. Okay. Nice, guys. Nice. Guys, so this is a guideline of what you have to do, considering timelines and limitations that we have at the moment. There is a set of hints that you can follow. I'm not going to go through that slide. I lecture better without slides. I think you guys know that by now. I don't like looking at slides when I lecture. Right, you can also give us some indication of the background, so context, background. I'm not too worried. These are little bits of suggestions that I want you to do. Guys, in terms of the layout itself, oh, crumbs. I think, guys, I have the layout. I wanted to look like this. Guys, can I quickly just go grab my phone? I think I have a picture of what I expect in the layout on my phone. Hold on a second. Hi guys, just give me a second. No, I don't have it. I'll have to draw it here. My apologies for doing this. Okay, guys, the layout that I'm looking for is as follows. So is everyone still there? So I want these are the main headings, and so I want your first main heading to be your introduction. First main heading to be your introduction. Your second main heading to be your literature review. My apologies, I'm writing with the mouse, as you can imagine. Your literature review. Then your first subheading. Your first subheading, I want it to be your theoretical framework. Your second subheading, your review of literature. Your third main heading, your paradigm. And your fourth main heading, your conclusion. Okay, those are the headings. This is the layout that I'm looking for in your submission. Okay, sorry to be pedantic, but it makes your life easier. Okay, yeah, I'm a structured person because my brain is a bit like a carousel, so I have to force structure on myself, guys. Right, so in terms of the theoretical framework, now we already discussed, and maybe I was a little bit pedantic, but because some of you are doing quantitative, you might as well do your two theories, your two variables already. Sorry, I'm drinking sparkling water over here. So for me, the theoretical framework has three elements, and my apologies for doing this. I do not want to see A, B, and C in your discussion, but I like the idea of compartmentalizing things. So when you write your theoretical foundation, we've already selected our theories. Part A, and don't write part A, but I again like compartmentalizing things. Part A would be the theory as it was written originally by the seminal author. Seminal author would be the person who had initially postulated the theory, that had initially suggested the theory. So remember, we don't find a theory. So we don't talk about the founders of the theory. We talk about the individuals who postulated the theory, who suggested the theory, who did the initial research on the theory. So we talk about the seminal authors. It's S-E-M-I-N-A-L, seminal authors. I want you guys to go back and find those seminal authors. If you find the seminal authors mentioned in another textbook, I do not want to see in any of your assignments Maslow in Robbins 2007. I want you to reference the original author, the original text. I don't want to see this one in that. I won't know that you didn't read the original author. My oldest reference in my last bit of study was from 1911. It was a significant privilege to read stuff from 1911. It's stuff that exists on the internet. You'll find it if you look for it. Okay. I want the
Sorry,
theory.
sir.
Yeah, go, Matt.
And just a quick one then, because it's obviously the first time I'm doing research. So with our normal projects, then they had a cap on, like you couldn't use old references. So it was like, say, from 2018.
Oh, no.
In terms of the research assignment, there isn't like a limit. I understand now where the context is coming from. It makes sense. I just wanted to confirm I am on the right track in terms of my understanding.
Yeah, absolutely. There is still that thing that we don't want references that are older than, I'm going to say 7 years, but that would be in part B, but I'll explain that. But remember, we want the theory as written by the seminal authors. The seminal authors, this is what makes research magic, because you want the theory in its original form. And the only way you can describe the theory in its original form is if you go and find the original form. So don't worry about the rules that it applied to your other projects. Okay, but again, a valid point. But those rules don't apply right now. They apply in part B, and I'll explain part B. Okay. But it is a valid point. What is your undergrad in, Madeline?
So it was a different one that only NMMU offered, Nelson Mandela. So it was an undergrad.
I did my master's at Nelson Mandela. I did my master's, yeah.
So it was 2 majors. So it was accounting and then business management.
Okay, no, we'll be fine. Don't worry about it. We'll be fine. Okay, yeah, no, but it's a valid point. Okay, so seminal author, go find the original seminal authors, okay? Part B would be updated views on the theory. So updated, sorry, I am writing with the mouse. It's bloody difficult. So updated views on the theory. Updated views on the theory. So here, as Madeline said, you don't want to go too much further back than 6 years ago. Having said that, guys, or 6 or 7 years ago, let's make it 7 years. But if you find a wonderful article from 2000 or 1995 or 2005, don't just discard it or disregard it because it's older than, but you don't want too many from that time period. You want stuff that is more current. So updated, recent views, recent discussions, recent iterations on that. Now, the one thing I don't want to see, and again, we pushed for time, is I do not want to ever see, and I want this to be burnt into your brains right now, is I never ever want to see one paragraph, one author, one paragraph, one author, because that is not what a literature review is. That is a summary. If you want to irk me, if you want to annoy me, give me one paragraph, one author. Different paragraph, different author. Guys, that is a summary. This is not a summary. This is postgrad, and I'm not going to accept summaries. We are having an integrated discussion. It is about contrasting, building arguments, comparing, using different authors to support each other's views. This is not summaries. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Part C is where we contextualize your theory in terms of where we contextualize the theory in terms of your own study. So why does this theory actually provide us a framework to be used for your study? Why does this theory make sense as a blueprint for your study? You'll do that for both theories. Make sure that when you move from one theory to the second theory, that you give headings for both of your theories, and that there's a transition sentence from one theory to the next. The other thing that I want to see, I never ever want to see two headings on top of each other. So right at the top of the literature review, let's hope this didn't wipe clean, it shouldn't have. So literature review, a brief paragraph, 2 or 3 lines, what a literature review is. Theoretical framework, a brief couple of lines, what a theoretical framework does. Theory 1, theory 2, and then obviously review of literature, why we review scholarship, and then your different themes. Okay, I don't want to see things on top of each other. Now, initially that might not be an issue, but we are striving to be pretty good in this class, guys. We are not going to be average, because I don't accept average. And I know that I'm being a bit of a bully, but yeah, Ransom's dealt with me before. It's who I am. Okay, I expect pretty decent work. But those are the 3 components, okay, guys? Those are the 3 components. The seminal author, the original view, original writings, the original interpretation of the theory, updated views, recent opinions, how the theory has evolved, and then why we can use this theory in the context of our own research. Have a glance at my slides. I don't really care about my slides, okay? And then your literature review, or review of literature. Oh, my apologies for that. One of the things that must come out of your literature review will be a set of themes. Now, the set of themes cannot be forced. So as you start doing research and you start summarizing your research and you start linking together the different authors and the different sources that you find, is you'll see that there is a natural flow from those sources of themes. I want you to have a look at the previous reports that I've given you as examples. Please tell me that I've given those examples to you on the group. Remember, I have a lot of classes, guys. Okay, so please look at those as to what the themes are. Have a glance at those themes, get a sense of those themes, okay, and see what they are. You have to create those themes. Don't force the themes. If you've done enough research, and when you start writing and combining and gelling those bits of pieces together, you'll see that those themes will emerge organically from your research. I'm not going to discuss the slides, guys. You can look at it. And then your paradigm. We've already spoken about the paradigms. I'm skipping to here. Yeah, that's the slide that I want to talk to. In terms of the paradigms, the 2 options that we have, and it's slightly reversed in terms of what we're looking at here from the second slide that we looked at, or the first slide really after the opening slide. We've got positivism and we have interpretivism. You'll remember that positivism takes us to quantitative research, interpretivism takes us to qualitative research. Positivism is about objectivity. It's about science, it's about measuring, it's about stats, it's about numbers. I want you to imagine evidence at an accident scene. Evidence at an accident scene. Right, so evidence at an accident scene. If we were a class and we observed an accident scene, if we observed an accident happen, and we are asked to tell our story, our version of events, what form of evidence would that be? Would it be interpretivism, or would it be positivism? Would it be qualitative or quantitative if we were to tell our story? We all watched an accident happen and we, no. What facts are there? Yes, it's always going to be qualitative because we will tell our perceptions, our views. If the accident scientists, analysis, investigators, as seen by the participants, can you see, Madam, because qualitative research is about your views, your perceptions, your beliefs, your own views of the world. When the accident scene investigators arrive, they will arrive with measuring tapes, they will arrive with data, they will measure the skid marks, they will measure the distance it traveled, they will measure the impact, they will measure the angles, etc. What would those measures be, quantitative or qualitative? That would be your quantitative measures, because those are objective, they're exact, they're about numbers and stats. Okay, those would be your numbers and stats thing, because we're sharing our qualitative stuff. Okay, that's a wonderful one. Yeah, no, but Matt, it's your first time. It's your first time. Don't worry about it. It's your first time. I'm not fussed about that. My gosh, the only person that I'm going to bully when they make a mistake is Ransom, but that's just because it's Ransom. Ransom's not going to come back to class and he's going to write on IIE Connect about me. Oh boy! Oh jeez, go tell Bronwyn, boy. So the reality is, the accident scene is such a nice example of those two things in action. The accident scene investigators, they could create a wonderful picture. Exactly, they would arrive with graphs and pictures and stats and numbers and tell you what speed each party in the accident was traveling at, and could tell you the angles and the distance. It is pure quantitative, it's pure stats, it's pure objective. I can tell you now, objectivity, my apologies. I can tell you now, each of us 8 would have our own version of events of that accident. Not one of us will tell the same story, because that's the nature of perceptions, that's the nature of interpretation, that's the nature of how people look at the world. We don't see the world the same way. Guys, it's the best example that I can think of in terms of the difference. So in terms of ontology, so what do we consider real? My oldest son is, my gosh, he is a math, mind you, my kids are math boffins. I'm the dumb ass in the house. I always sit at the dinner table, although my oldest doesn't live at home anymore. And I always think, my gosh, I'm so stupid, because I always know that I'm the dumbest person at the dinner table, until I get to Varsity College into lecturer lounges, and then I know I'm the brightest there. Oh, that is so rude. I'm being recorded, guys. So the reality is my oldest son is a math kid. He, for pure math honors, including a dissertation, he got 96% for pure math honors. He's 27 years old. His job is to write artificial intelligence to deal with big data issues. He's as bright as anything. Everything for him is reduced to numbers and stats. He also believes you can reduce behavior and human feelings to numbers and stats. His AI masters, he taught a computer to discern sarcasm, without any framework. He's incredibly bright. My view of the world is, although I did my master's quantitatively, my view is you can only understand reality within its context. So the nature of reality is that if you're a positivist, it's objective. Reality is what we can measure in the accident scene. It is separate from the researcher. In terms of the accident scene, it is how we see that accident unfolding. And each of us 8 would see that accident differently, guys. I can promise you that. That is the nature of accidents. This is what is valid knowledge, epistemology. In terms of knowledge, it is independent. We believe that knowledge is the fact that you are immersed in what is being researched. Axiology, research is value free. Because we immerse ourselves in research, our values will impact the research. Rhetoric, here we write in a formal style. When we get to our findings, we adopt a slightly more informal style. At this stage, qualitative people, I want you to keep your writing formal. Methodology, always going to be quantitative and deductive. Guys, the one thing that I'm going to vary from Lishal, and I think you doing qualitative now, is that we are going to do qualitative deductive. We don't have the time to do inductive. Qualitative allows us to do deductive. So because of time frames, I'm going to just move slightly away from what the tradition is. I don't like deductive qualitative research, but it is allowed within the broader paradigm. We just need to explain it. Okay, but normally in terms of qualitative research, we move from the specific to the general. So we move from specific behaviors, specific events, specific feelings, perceptions, to a generalized theory. Here we move from a generalized theory and we prove it within a specific context in positivism. Guys, I've got other bits and pieces. Okay. Yeah, I love, that's a very nice slide. Here are some more slides. Don't ignore this stuff, guys. To also just say there are tons of additional, there's post-feminism, post-feminism. There's so many others here. I don't even know some of them. But we are worried about those 2 buggers there, part 1 and part 2. Okay. And then you can also see we are not doing critical realism. I'm not allowing mixed methods. You can have a glance at that. Okay, I've got tons of that, and then you can see the rest of the rubrics. Right,